I don't know what they hit with this thing, but they managed to split the splitter. In this video, I'm going to show you how to repair a cracked weld with a grinder and a stick welder. And even though we're working on a log splitter, this repair job is going to give you the fundamentals to repair just about any crack. So can a stick welder and a grinder actually save this? Or is this thing headed for the scrapyard? Before we strike an arc, we need to answer one question. Why did it crack? The log splitter had a poor weld. The plate was out of shape and not square to the splitter to start with, so the customer decided to whack it into place, clearly hitting it too hard. Now, I'm just dealing with mild steel on this repair job, but if you're dealing with higher carbon steel, cast iron, or higher alloy material, your welding procedure may be a little bit different. On this repair job, I don't have to add any extra material, but in your case, you might have to examine and evaluate whether or not you have to add stiffeners, gussets, or any sort of brace to alleviate the stress that caused the crack in the first place. Step 1, clean the area. Remove paint, oil, rust, and dirt at least a couple inches outside the cracked area. Grind out the crack with your angle or die grinder. Make sure the entire length of the old crack is removed. You can see where the crack started and you can see where the crack ended. I'm going to grind this weld out completely, and I'm going to come back about an inch or so past the end of that crack. I'm really taking my time making sure that I get out all this weld. Prep is probably 90% of the work on this. If you're relatively new to a repair job like this, you got to make sure that you clean this thing out properly. Make sure you get rid of all the grime, all the rust, all the paint. But more important, you got to get rid of that old weld. If there was any lack of fusion in there and you weld over top of it, you're just going to lead to another repair job. Number 3, identify your start and end of the crack. In some cases, you may have to drill yourself stop holes. Drill small holes at both ends. The other thing to be careful of is the parent metal. You want to grind down the weld, but you don't want to grind down that base metal too far. Step 4, V-groove the joint. Shape an open groove along the path of the crack to allow full penetration of the new weld bead. Number 5 is to weld. In some cases, cast or higher alloyed materials may require post or preheat and specific rods for the job. My job will be to close up the crack and bring this thing back to its original dimensions. We have a 90-degree weld joint on this, and we call it a fillet weld. So the nice thing is that I don't have to bevel or open up the groove. But if you have two pieces of plate coming together, you'll want to V out that groove. This will open things up to get better penetration all the way through. I really took my time with that grinder on this. I made sure that everything is nice and clean, that I can see the opening of the crack, and now we're gonna close it up. The problem I'm having is that I don't have a clamp that's large enough to suck this thing in. So I've got something called a dog, and I'm gonna weld this to my other piece, and it's going to be able to suck it in. So let me show you how I'm going to use this. Okay, so a weld dog is simply a temporary rigging tool. We tack it directly to a metal surface to pull our misaligned part into alignment before welding. Instead of a regular weld clamp that requires an edge to grip, weld dogs allow you to apply force anywhere on that flat surface. In my case, I'm going to use it to close up the gap. They're just super valuable. They're usually homemade. Sometimes block in wedges instead, and that works just fine. But this case here, I just have a giant chunk of 1.25 inch steel. I've notched out, I've tacked a nut, and then I've got my bolt. And this comes down and we're able to tighten up that piece or flush it out however we need. Here's what we had to do. We've got a few pieces of flat bar because we had to build up this side because it's much lower than the flange on the opposite side. So I just tacked some coupons, some plate together, and then I've got a third one on top, and this is where my dog is tacked to. The important thing is that I'm only tacking my dog on one side so that I can break this off easily. You can see how we weld on one side of that dog, and then I'm able to just peel that weld off. I'm welding this giant crack with 70-18 electrodes. These are considered low hydrogen or structural rods. You could use a 60-10. I find it just doesn't fill enough for something like this. You want to avoid your 60-13s and your 70-14s. Not that they're not going to hold, but they're not considered structural rods. For myself, I'm gonna sleep better at night if I use this rod. I'm welding this log splitter with a 3/32 rod at about 80 amps. And if you're a little rusty and you need a refresher, I've got some excellent beginner stick welding videos. You can check this one out that's on the screen. It took me 4 full rods to weld this 18-inch crack. As always, cleaning in between welds, chipping, then using some form of wire wheel to get it nice and shiny. This works well at making sure we get rid of all that slag. Here's a great example of how slag got trapped in my weld and I didn't even know about it. So I had a weld that wasn't completely fused or washed up into the wall of this plate right here, and it caused kind of this overlap, as you can see. So much that you've got a bit of a groove, and I can fit my rod right in there. And I seen just a hint of slag, so I decided to grind it a little bit further with my grinder, and I exposed that whole weld, and you can see slag that's trapped all the way on the inside, and I had to dig this whole thing out. So I ended up grinding that whole weld out, or at least so much that the slag disappeared, and then I was able to put my new weld in. My initial thought was to put a weld over top of it and just call it a day, but it's a good thing I ground it out, because potentially this thing could have been coming back for a repair. A lot of people will approach this with just throw another pass on top and it'll be fine. But in this case here, more weld definitely isn't better. That's just gonna hinder it and that crack is gonna come back. All right, let's have a look at this weld. I got rained on, I had to stop halfway through, so that's why we're seeing a little bit of rust on this, but I've got nice tie-ins. You can see my weld's nice and flat, and I don't notice any huge flaws in this anymore, so I'm happy with it. So that's it for the welding on this one. This thing is complete, back in service, and hopefully it'll be splitting firewood soon. As much as I love these jobs, I don't want this thing coming back. I don't want any of my jobs coming back. That's why I followed the procedure. I did it properly, and then I can sleep good at night. Repairs like this are never just about running a bead over top, calling it a day, and then sending it out the door. It's all about understanding what happened, how do we correct it so that failed weld doesn't happen again. Most of the time you have to know what you're looking at, and that's why we do these videos, and hopefully we can reach that hobbyist or that farmer, you know, that doesn't weld every single day but wants to do a repair like this. And that's why this channel is all about welding education and doing a bunch of cool stuff along the way. So if you learned something and you want to see more of this, be sure to subscribe. You can check out any one of these videos on the screen right now. Keep your lenses clean, and we'll catch you on the next one.